All right, guys, listen. The only thing that matters if you subscribe right now or comment or whatever you're doing right now, go to the page. What's the name? Oh, go to the page right now. What's the name? I was talking to my friend right there, the sexy Chauncey the Bear. You know what time it is. There's two of us, and there's two of them, right? Those wrestling girls, there's two of them. Make sure to subscribe, like, watch, enjoy.
Queen PR, Krista B, those wrestling girls, TWG, Black Excellence, making it effortless. Podcast bringing up women and wrestling. Let's go.
What's up, guys? We're back. It's those wrestling girls. We know it's Monday. And usually we do a release on Monday. But it's Memorial Day weekend.
It is Memorial Day weekend.
Like, we had to give a little bit of a break. Like, we had a busy, fun weekend.
We really did.
It was so much fun. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay, so this past Saturday, I held my second annual Unapologetically Eclectic Presents Take Up Your Space Sis Brunch and Panel. And it was just like the most amazing thing ever. If you go on my Instagram, make sure you follow me on Unapologetically Eclectic and my personal Instagram. If you go, I did like a quick picture recap of what went down. I can't wait for the video. A reel was just posted. I just can't wait for it to come out. And it was just so empowering and impactful. It literally surpassed my expectations of what I thought the day was going to turn out to be. I thought I was going to be in a room full of probably about like 5-6 people. And it was packed. Like, everybody came. I don't think there were any empty seats. And it was fun. I got a chance to feel more comfortable this year than last year. Last year I was nervous. I was like, I'm hosting. Like, I was about ready to get a host to do it for me. I promise you I was last year.
Wow, but you last year. But then I'm like, so when I said, and literally the day before, that's Friday, I called Tanisha and Keyshawn, shout out to them, my two best friends in the world. I called them and I was just like, yeah, I'm about to cancel it. Mind you, I just got my hair done. Just woken up, I'm about to cancel it, y'all. People saying they're not coming. They over here already criticizing. Everything under the sun. And then we ended up having a good time. And I want to say thank you for coming. Like, thank you. I was not gonna miss that.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so
much. I was excited for it. And then of course I'm like, okay, I know it was in Brooklyn. So I've been going to Brooklyn. I've been going outside. I'm so proud of myself.
Peeping outside, y'all. Peeping outside.
And I was like, I mentally was like, it's in Brooklyn. Fuck it. Okay. So the morning, I was like, let me see. Because I never looked up the address. I just know I had to go to Brooklyn. It was all the way in Coney Island.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone that's a New Yorker, I live in the Bronx in Kingsbridge area. So I literally was going from one all the way to one side of the top Bronx to the fucking bottom of Brooklyn, like all the way to the other side, like a whole train ride. But it was cool because, you know, it was totally worth it. It was a beautiful day. It was supposed to be a rainstorm Saturday. It ended up being.
It did rain, but it rained when everybody got inside.
Yeah, and then the sun came out, and then it just let in the sunshine, and the panelists were inspiring. I love panels, and just hearing from like these Black women. I'm glad you were on the panel too, and you were able to share your story as well. And just I love hearing their stories of like, you know, their careers. And shout out to Ciendo and Jizzy, because it was also a little wrestling girl meetup, which I like. We supporting each other. And they asked really good questions. They were like asking about these ladies' fears, and Jizzy asked about self-care, and I love those questions, because these female empowerment panels can be very much like, you know, you just do anything and you just, you know, like really like there's no other way kind of thing. And I like that like you guys were able to get vulnerable and be like, you know what, I was afraid of this. I made a mistake and I did this. And that was, I think, most inspiring things about the panel, and how you framed it of like take up your spaces, because I think a lot of us, including myself, like we get afraid of like stepping into our light, stepping into our sunshine for whatever reason, whether it's like insecurity, fear, you don't want to outstage someone else or whatever the case may be. But it's like, no. And as Black women, we always kind of have to, we don't want to be too aggressive. We don't want to be too seen. We don't be too that. And it's like, no, bitch, take up your space.
We want to take up our space. And I'm already planning for next year. Next year's definitely bigger and better. And I think I'm going to drop a little exclusive right here. You were looking at one of my panelists for next year, Miss Queen PR.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yes, so Queen PR, I had to lower my chair because I feel so high. Queen PR is definitely going to be on the panel next year. It's going to be bigger and better. I'm starting to plan from now. So if you missed it the first one last year, and then this one that's just passed, both of them, the first one is already up on my website, Unapologetically Eclectic, as well as the YouTube page. And the second one will also be up as well. Once it's up, we'll definitely promote it. And we're going to jump right into... Wait. That was my check-in. That was my, I feel so relieved. And my outfit was bomb. Okay?
I loved your outfit.
My outfit was bomb. Okay? I had 2 outfits, and I am so glad that I went with that one.
Okay, so I'm curious what the other one was, because I really liked the brown top. That was cute with the pink. I was like, yeah, that's with the pony.
So the blue one was it was a blue outfit. It was like a satin type fabric. Mm-hmm. The shirt, however, I believe because of my cup size, the shirt probably should have been a medium, and the bottom was stayed a small, so I really couldn't wear it properly. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm gonna say that for New Orleans, so my friends can actually help me put the shirt on properly. But yes, I had 2 outfits. When I left, so you missed the champagne toast at the end.
I did.
You did, but it's okay. So when we left, me and Dwayne, we went out. Everybody was complimenting me on my outfit. Everybody. This girl was like, oh my God, your pants are so cute. And I'm gonna get that same outfit in green too.
You should.
The top was green, and then they had the green, whatever the blue was on my pants, it had green in it. I'm definitely gonna get that. I'm still might think about it. I don't know. And then so we went different places. I literally had a good Saturday. Shout out to my cousins. Love them to death.
Always comes and shows
and that's not even half. That's not even half. That's not even half. And then we went out, went to my cousins, and I ended the night at a lounge having fun.
Nice.
Drinks. It was fun.
I love to hear that. So I want to talk about a show that we went to that was another you can't miss it. It's gonna be a part 2. Is the Takeover versus Shane Taylor promotions. That was such a fun show.
Yo.
And all the way in fucking Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. Only Jay Bougie and Takeover would fucking bring me. I've been in Coney Island, Ridgefield Park. What is happening?
He is outside, y'all.
Seriously.
He's outside.
Oh, so it was so okay. So I love also about us going to this show, and we went to Battle Club Pro. Is we said when we relaunched that we were going to want to do more stuff in the indies, because we never did. We were very much WWE babies. And I remember someone tweeting it if you don't like what you're getting, from the product that you watch, then you go to where it's happening. So when it comes to Black wrestler representation, Black owned promotions, Black centric, the culture, that's in the indies, and it's been happening. So us being able to, go into the For the Culture show in Dallas, and seeing our first death match, those things happening in Black wrestling. So
which we can cross off of our checklist, because I don't think we will ever do a death
Billy
match
Dixon
again.
And I forgot who he fought in Dallas in the street fight. I forgot who Billy Dixon fought, but it was crazy. But that was a card that was predominantly Black, going back to Jobberson, predominantly Black. So it got to a point where we were like, you know what? We need to channel our, now that our brand especially has, a sort of influence where we have a platform that we can promote these things. So we wanted to be a part of that. So the Invictus show, I would say, is probably the first one where we were like kind of like involved. We heavily promoted it. So Takeover, Jay Bougie, PJ, the faceless one, I forgot the other one's name, versus Shane Taylor.
Jocko.
Yes. And it was such a fun show. Like, it started out on an IG live that Krista put in our WrestleMania group chat, like, oh, Jay Bougie Rev is on live. Y'all should get, we should get on that. And, shout out to Brian H. Waters. We got in it. We read the comments, and it was hilarious. And it ended up being a Crocs versus street light, ring light debate, and it just exploded all over social media. And shout out to Jay Bougie, because he had that show on his back. He did all the promotion, he did all the connections. And so me just like, him being family and just seeing him like, really like take control of this show, because we all knew this is the biggest match of his career thus far. And
yep.
Especially for PJ Savage, and watching them grow up in Gleason's, and now seeing like it was a very big moment for everyone involved. And it ended up being like an amazing show. Like,
that show was so lit. Like, I promise you, on I think last Monday, Rev does these coffee talks on Twitter and Twitter Spaces, and I got in late. It was about to be over, and I came in, and I was just like, he shouted me out, so I was just like, hey, I'm still reliving the show, the Takeover show. It was something. It was a sight to see. It was amazing. Like that last match between PJ Savage and Shane Taylor, and then how it just turned into a 4-on-4 brawl for all. Rev getting hit with the burning crock.
Yo, that really happened.
They literally brought everything except for the bodega cat. Like, they didn't bring the store manager out.
I really wanted somebody to bring a chopped cheese.
And a chopped cheese. And a chopped, like, facts. Like,
yeah, right. We had some.
It was cool. Like, it was such an amazing feeling. Like, that high that you're on. Like, I think I'm double high now, because the high from that, I'm still kind of riding.
Yeah.
And then the high from last Saturday, the event, I'm still riding. So now it's just like, I'm more motivated. Like, I'm replaying back stuff in my head. Like, when Ty was talking about writing down her affirmations and aspirations. I promise you, right before we jumped in here, I was about to start writing this stuff for next year.
I should definitely start doing that.
Just like affirmations and stuff for real, like writing the stuff for next year, doing bigger and better. Shout out, I just want to give a special shout out to Magik, love Era Visuals, who recorded everything. My dear friend Tiana, I knew her since the 4th grade. We've been friends ever since. Your Capricorn sis, literally, y'all. Tiana is 2 hours younger than P and her twin sister, born on the same day. Yeah. She came and she took the pictures, and her pictures are amazing.
Oh my God, so good.
She has an eye, like, oh my gosh, she has such an eye, and I just cannot wait to see what her journey is next. DJ Thematics, my panelists, Kishana, Tanisha, my cousins, Amanda, Bianca, Tamara, Tanasia, I love you all. P, Ciendo, all you guys for showing up.
That was so
and
cool.
And
speaking of family and photographers, so Letty, I don't know how she ended up with a camera. I just came in, I'm like, how is she working the event all of a sudden?
Letty was like, Brian, give me a camera.
Whoa, and she got the most terrific shots, but she's always been a good event photographer. So when she took events with Brian at our event, our anniversary party, I wasn't surprised that they were good. But the shots that she got in this wrestling match were like, oh my God. And even Brian, and shout out to Hugh, who came up from Maryland. Justin, shout out to Justin. He came up from the DMV area. So just seeing like people are now traveling to go to these indie shows. Like, I definitely feel like a renaissance happening. And I'm really excited that, like, we're a part of it. And I feel like that Takeover show was like just the beginning. And I want to shout out Rev as well, because we, brought the squad out to Invictus. So anyone that has a indie promotion and you want some exposure, because we were able to collaborate with Jay Bougie for that show, and it ended up being like, mentioned on the Ringer podcast. Invite those wrestling girls, like give me a front row seat, and we will turn that show.
And y'all know me. I'm going to be Brooklyn through and through. Like, me and Jay Bougie got into it.
You know what? I was thinking that too, because I've noticed something between you, Ciendo, Jizzy. We are only surrounded by, like, dope baddies, basically. So if you want to have fun at an indie show, follow us and, honestly, you're gonna want to like party with us.
You're gonna want to be with us because if I had people, if I almost went viral the first at Jobber Slam, and then I have officials holding me back at Invictus. Imagine what's gonna be the next thing they're gonna do. I might end up in the ring. I might have to slap a bitch. Like, who knows?
So as we wrap up our check-in, I'm gonna just say some of the events that we're gonna be going to coming up. So watch out for the recap to Krista B's brunch, because you're really gonna find some gems in there. Like, it was really targeted for like females, Black women, but I think everyone could get a little something.
And shout out for the dudes that came out to support too.
Yeah, they was in there too. So what's next? Oh, Black Wrestle Fest. So damn, I wish I had the flyer because it's a lot going on. So there's panels, there's a rap battle, a wrestling rap battle, there's trivia, there's wrestling. There is so much going on in this Black Wrestle Fest.
June 18th and June 19th in Brooklyn.
June 19th. It's Juneteenth weekend, presented by Pretty Hill. Shout out to Danielle. I love
Which
you,
is
Danny.
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I can't believe it's already in 2 weeks. And everyone's coming into town for that. It's in Brooklyn. Everyone's coming into town for that. So make sure you can either take advantage of sponsorship opportunities, buy a ticket, support. I also love that our friends were, they bought tickets to like your panel, and sometimes it's not about being there. It's about giving what you can, because everyone's giving their blood. Krista B gave her blood, sweat, and tears, to that event. So all the support, it really helps. So make sure you're at that Jobber Slam, August 20th. Black Girl Magik wrestling shows August 19th, also in Brooklyn. So this summer,
at this point, so somebody moved out upstairs from me, and it's a 1 bedroom. Do you want me to ask about it for you? Because at this point, you're just gonna have to stay in Brooklyn.
Right? I'm like, yo, that's in Brooklyn. This is in Brooklyn. This is in Brooklyn. This is in Brooklyn. I'm like, oh gosh. But who would have thought I would ever be in Brooklyn this much? This is crazy.
I don't know, not me.
Well, we're going to see all of y'all in Brooklyn.
That's a fact.
So all the information is going to be in the description. Follow us on social media. Support indie wrestling. Support wrestlers and not promotions.
That part.
And yeah, I think that's all I have.
So before we jump into what we're going to jump into, we're going to take this quick little break. We're going to get cuter, and we're going to be right back.
It's me, Queen PR, one half of those wrestling girls, and our friends over at Ripple Junction want us to remind you that all of our favorite designs, including this Roy's War shirt, have gotten relaunched in new designs and a variety of new colors. And you can get a t-shirt for all your favorite fandoms, whether it's The Office, your favorite movies, your favorite brands. There's everything over at Ripple Junction. And don't forget to use the code Those Wrestling Girls to save 15% off. So what are you waiting for? Go on Ripple Junction, use those code Those Wrestling Girls, and post your shirts on social media and tag Ripple Junction.
All right, y'all, we're back as promised. And today is a real talk, maybe a bit of a sound off, which your new one is coming, so stay tuned. And it's about WWE and their lack of interest or their lack of creative in the women's tag team division. I am wearing today Riot Squad.
Ooh, wow, that is a great pick to wear.
Super missed opportunity with the Riot Squad, and as much as all these other female tag teams that were in the WWE. Like, P, when you were sending the pictures in WhatsApp, Sasha and Bailey, Nikki Cross and Alexa, Sasha and Naomi, I noticed that Sasha, the only reason why and this is just how I feel, only reason why Sasha had a longer run with Bailey is because Bailey don't look like us. That's how I feel. Because it's Naomi, I'm not really believing how Sasha manipulated Naomi. Like, if you guys really know my Naomi story, if you really know the journey that she's been on, if you've really seen her in the ring, she's amazing. But the storylines and stuff that she's been put into, it can be very disheartening to want to continue to be in a company that doesn't see the potential that you have, or doesn't see you as a person who can actually hold the championship. Naomi's been in this company longer than Charlotte. Charlotte is what now? 13, 14 time women's champion.
Some ridiculous
Naomi's been, she's a 2-time SmackDown women's champion, a 1-time tag team champion, and she's been in this company over 10 plus years now.
She came up through everything.
Exactly.
Before there was a performance center, before there was any of that, when they were, the FCW stories and shit like that. Yeah, I can totally, I can see that. Like, I can totally see that. I think, and it's funny because when you talk about, like, let's say Sasha Banks and Bailey's championship run, it's hard because they were like champions during the pandemic and they were double champions. And it was like kind of like a safety thing where it's like, okay, like, we don't know what's going on in the world. We don't know, but we're going to put all the female gold on two very reliable performers who are in the middle of an amazing heel turn. But then it's like, but yeah, you cared at that time though. And when Sasha Banks and Bailey held the tag team championships, you cared. They petitioned for the belts. They wanted to bring prestige to the belts. They're fans of tag team wrestling. So when they were champions, during the pandemic, they went to NXT. Or even before, I think, they went to NXT to defend. They went to all the brands and they actually had challengers and feuds, for once. And what is disheartening about that is like, so it's like, okay, so you guys are capable of promoting the tag team championship.
But it's given lazy and it's given not fair.
But only depending on who's champion.
Right.
And I feel like that is so unfair. Like when Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were champion, they were featured heavily. When and when I say featured heavily, I mean that very lightly because the championships are rarely ever the focus of anything. You had it's just unfortunate because there's so much potential there when it comes to the championships, because to me, I feel like it answered all the problems that people have with the women's division. Like, you have all this talent, but you're not doing anything with it. Okay, great. Build this tag team division around it. TV time. Have a feud for the championship. Have a non-title feud. Have a championship feud. That's an easy way to have 3 women's segments throughout the show. I don't understand why that's like rocket science to WWE or what it is, or if it's one of the whole narrative that Vince McMahon doesn't like tag team wrestling. Like, I really would love, like, what is it? You know what I mean?
My thing is that if you don't like tag team wrestling, right, why put 2 tag team belts on the Usos as well as 2 belts? I mean, to match the 2 belts that Roman Reigns has. You understand? I don't think that Vince is a creative genius in his own right. You understand what I'm trying to say? And I'm not going to ever sit here and take anything away from him, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation about WWE. And is that a Bianca poster on your wall?
Bianca. Oh, it's the For the Culture. Siendo bought the bundle and then she gave me the postcard.
You see how I just went? Sorry. Bianca, that's my girl. Bianca, that's my girl.
And it's a fire picture too. Shout out to Strictly for the Culture. They're sponsoring J Poochie.
Facts. But yeah, I don't see, like, I feel like Vince, what was I saying? Oh, I feel like Vince, he still sees women as one thing, as one-sided. Like, there cannot be any type of dimension. They cannot be multi-dimensional. He sees them as a one-dimensional figure, and that's for them to be beautiful, not exploit their talents, not exude their talents as much as the men should. Wrestling is a male-dominated field, and the women are just going to be the fill-ins for when people have to use the restroom or want to go get snacks, or it can be like the sideshow in between, like the main events and stuff. And it's crazy because we come so far. Women have main events at WrestleMania. Women have main evented bigger. Didn't Sasha and Charlotte main event Hell in a Cell, which happened to be one of the best matches of our time.
And I think that's the frustrating part, is the women have more than proved capable of holding down a dope tag team division. Like, we did, episodes during the pandemic where it was like a lot of the women held that shit on their back. The Zelinas, the Asukas, the Kairi Sanes, and the Baileys, and
where's Zelina now?
Right, exactly. So speaking of Vince and like the formation of the championships, because these didn't always exist. So it was announced in 28 at the end of 2018, one of my favorite years in WWE and women's wrestling, that there would be tag team championships, and I will never forget because it was a Christmas Eve episode, I believe, and Vince was Santa Claus, and he basically like showed that we're having tag team championships, and it was something that the fans have been asking for because in the midst of this women's evolution, there was so much momentum, there was so much talent, there was so much, so it only was like, okay, like give them tag team championships now. Like they have a Royal Rumble, they have a Money in the Bank, they're doing all of this. Like let's give them some tag team championships. What was your reaction when they said that, and were you a part of that? Because I remember we would go to shows and they would be like signs that say like,
yeah, we went to Evolution. They had
women's tag teams and championships. So what was did you want them, like was that something on your radar, or like what was your reaction when they got
to be honest? I felt like, of course I wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I hate to say it, when we were at Evolution, the team who I thought would win them, be the first ones to win, would have been the Iconics. Hands down. As much as I didn't like their characters in WWE, as much I'm just like, y'all want to sit here and make these women be clowns in a sense,
right,
or make them be really, not saying that they can't have a personality in WWE. You want to sit here and do this at a time where we're trying to merge out of that era and that stigma of women just doing this and doing that, and actually show your wrestling skills, like Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, Bailey, literally putting it all on the line every night, and then you have the Iconics who come and try to be loud and funny, and then they didn't really translate to me that way. But I honestly felt like if we were to get it, they should have been the first ones to get it because they were an actual tag team.
I absolutely agree with you on that one because and I wanted, as much as I love Sasha and Bailey, like I expected the Iconics to win because, like you said, they're actually a real tag team. We talked about their story before. I love their story. They're lifelong wrestling fans, grew up together, bonded over that, and their journey started in Australia. And, they made their dream. They're in the WWE. They want to be a tag team. So why not have them be the first one? So that's a good place to start as far as what went wrong with the tag team championships, because you go from Sasha and Bailey, who we all know are, marks for
they have a love-hate relationship.
Yes, and they have a love. They love tag team wrestling. They love wrestling, and they petition for tag team championships, and they finally got them. And you see the emotion on their face when they win the Elimination Chamber match to grant the winner. And I think the excitement of them being champions was just so like, oh my God, like, what's going to happen? But they didn't really do much with those, that much either. And then you come around to WrestleMania 35, where this is the first WrestleMania where women are main eventing. And then you have this fatal 4-way tag team match for the championships, and the Iconics finally win. They have a moment, and why I like that moment is because the Iconics at the time were having like a losing streak. So I thought they were like hilarious, and they had a losing streak. So this was one of their first wins, one of the few wins that they were having at the time at WrestleMania, and they won the tag team championship. So it kind of okayed the fact that they weren't the first champions, although it led to like other things. But their reign fucking sucked. It really was like peak, 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 and then they never wrestled. Never ever wrestled.
And I feel like, what's the point? Like, so I feel like creative has always been an issue when it comes down to the women's tag team division.
Right.
It's not just starting with Sasha and Naomi and the walkout. It's being spilled over with Sasha and Naomi and the walkout. 100%. Because we had the inaugural winners, Sasha Banks and Bailey, who definitely went to the lengths of trying to get the tag team some type of notoriety. Right. Not trying to let it, like right now, the women's tag team belts can be in the same category as an Intercontinental Championship. I don't even know who the champion is
That
right
is
now.
so unfortunate
And
that
it's
you.
so unfortunate because growing up, yeah, winning the world championship belt was it, but it was the intercontinental belt
Mhm.
that meant
That's who you
everything.
knew who to look out for. That's how,
Right.
like, how you moved that ladder to the next phase.
Right, because it was like intercontinental and then WWE champion. And now it's just like, all right, well, they're a tag team or whatever. We just gonna put the belts on them or whatever. And now
Hmm.
it's like y'all putting all this focus onto the men, onto the Usos
Right.
and Roman Reigns, which is great. Don't get me wrong, which is amazing. But what about the women? You were disrespecting one of the tag team champions' wives,
Hmm.
Naomi. She's the wife of Jimmy. Like, and I feel like the only way they're gonna boost her or have her come back, she's gonna be in the bloodline.
That's the only
And I,
way
and that's
because.
kind of unfortunate too because it's like now you need a man, not only a man, you need your husband and your cousin-in-law power for you to get to where you already should have been. You should have way surpassed where Roman and the Usos are because one, you've been in it much longer than them.
Mhm.
Two, your abilities are just as great as theirs, not even as a female, but as a wrestler. Your abilities is just as great as theirs.
And
One
she's
of the
been
most
showcasing it.
athletic, yes, one of the most athletic women to have ever graced WWE. And now
Hmm.
we don't even get to see her.
Right, and she's suspended for that, which is that's
BS.
that's that's yeah. So yeah, we'll
It's
get there.
BS.
But so Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross was the first two-time tag team champions, so they took it from the Iconics. And how did you feel about them at first? Because they had teased it a little bit. I'm a huge Nikki Cross fan, and then Alexa Bliss was doing her talk show at the time, and the whole coffee thing, and then their tag team ended up kind of being like cute. It kind
I
of
was
grew on
kind of
me.
nervous
Mm,
because we know Alexa can definitely turn on somebody within a heartbeat. So I
yes.
was just like, this is not gonna last. They're gonna set Nikki up for failure. Why did they do this to her? But I wasn't mad at it because I'm like, although they weren't originally a tag team, and we got to remember, like, even in the men's division, half of them who come together were never originally tag teams unless they actually debuted together, like the Usos, like D Generation X, like even when it comes down to factions, and you still had the tag teams, like the Nation of Domination, so in the New Day. So it's just like, all right, cool. They weren't actually tag team partners at the time. But if they work together and they mesh well together, then why not keep them together? And that's what I see with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. They worked well together. They kind of helped each other up and come out. And because Alexa was already so over and Nikki
Right.
was looking for a new gimmick or a new look, and they were just trying to change her from being the sanity Nikki Cross
Which
to
I
being
love.
like, yeah, I love the sanity Nikki Cross. That
Yeah.
music and the way the cameras were, and
I
I
hope that
loved it.
she was the one that turned on Alexa and then went
Same.
crazy again. That's what I was hoping for.
That's what I was hoping for too.
But
But it was like Alexa being warped by Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, and then Braun Strowman trying to help her, and then you got this little
that
doll. I
shit
forgot
just
the
got
doll,
so
Lily, and
convoluted.
it just didn't make any sense.
It
Like it
made
didn't
no
mesh well.
sense whatsoever. Just like it made no sense to. And what happened with, because Alexa Bliss is Alexa Bliss, and she's always kind of been like the golden child. Now the tag team championships are being taken more seriously. Now that's what the fans are saying, because now Alexa Bliss has it, and I felt like that always sucked for the Iconics because, and why I think this is one of the things where WWE went wrong with the second reign after following Sasha Banks and Bailey. 1 year following Sasha Banks and Bailey, so the second reign should have already been on that level. So the Iconics had the potential to do that. They can wrestle.
They can
And I
wrestle.
think that's what I was so frustrated about, because I always think about my dad who doesn't watch NXT, especially at that time, so when someone comes to the main roster, he's literally being introduced to them. So he didn't know like the Iconics could wrestle. And it went back to your point of showing how Vince likes to show women that he thought they were just pretty faces that were not saying that anything wrong with being a pretty face and being attractive. I thought they were hilarious, but that's all they brought to the table because they never had any matches. They rarely ever defended them. So now it's like that steps the women's division back a little bit. That steps the tag team division back a little bit. It sets these championships that already are considered a joke, just off off, just the negativity on wrestling Twitter. So now, now you have that. Now you have Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. That works. Great. They're being used. Fine. Then I got excited because when the Kabuki Warriors came along, and you have Asuka and Kairi Sane, two of my favorite people in the entire universe, they, to me, were like the ones that did their thing with those.
Yeah, they did. One is because I feel like with them, it's easier for them to be used to translate to the Asian market, Japan, China, Korea, all of those over there, especially New Japan Pro. Oh, if Asuka and Kyrie can, we can, So I feel like they wanted to use them and get their faces out. And they were also the ones who carried on through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Once we didn't know what was going to happen, they were two of so the Kabuki Warriors, Sasha and Bailey. I only feel like that feud went so well and lasted because of the fact that you really had nobody else to go against. Like, everybody was scared. The pandemic really had people shook. Like, hey, yeah, no, I'm not doing this. My life is in danger. I'm just gonna wait and see what they say. So to see the Kabuki Warriors come back or come out on top as tag team champions, that's like the only time we saw a person of color, so to speak, carry on and reign.
And they were such a fantastic tag team. They were so entertaining. They were so funny. And they held it from October all the way through mid-March. So they dropped it right to actually Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross right kind of at the start of the pandemic. So that was fun. I was into it because Asuka was doing the whole mist thing, and Kyrie is so I miss her so much. Just the matches were good with them. You can't go wrong having a match with Asuka and Kyrie Sane. You just can't. They have everything,
the
all
charisma
around.
And everything. Yep.
Everything all around. They're super dependable in that way. And then Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross carry the championships again. And then we enter the golden role model era. The Boston Hug Connection are now 2-time tag team champions again. But it's completely different because Boston Hug Connection were baby faces for the most part, and now Bailey is fully into her heel gimmick now. Sasha Banks is Sasha Banks, and yeah, they became double champions at one point during their reign, and from May to August.
And I feel like they were just so quick to, you already saw the route that they was going to go when it came down the second time. You already saw they was about to break up. You already saw one was about to turn on the other. But the fun thing about that is you didn't know which one was going to turn on who.
That made it very exciting. Very exciting.
Right. Sorry. Because at that point, Bailey was already in heel mode, and Sasha was given tweener vibes.
Right.
So you really didn't know who was really going to turn on who. So that kind of left you on the edge of your seat. And I believe it was Bailey who turned on Sasha.
Yep.
If I'm not, Bailey turned on Sasha, and everybody was like, all right, Sasha,
we're
gonna do it again.
That way. Because it would have been way too predictable if it was Sasha to turn on Bailey. And I think for Bailey, and I remember we did a Bailey episode, Bailey had to complete her heel turn, for it to be full circle evolution of Bailey, she had to turn on Sasha.
She had to turn on the ultimate heel.
Yes, and who always gets her. And, I'm thinking of Elimination Chamber that year when Sasha, kicked her off the thing, or the Women's Battle Royal in WrestleMania. I forgot which one it was, and Sasha Banks eliminated her. Or no, I think Bailey eliminated Sasha. So there's always been that, but it's always been Bailey's the endearing one and the nice one. But now it's Bailey cutthroat, and she, she has to do what she has to do to Sasha. So that was fun. And I'm never going to complain about Bailey and Sasha Banks holding, the tag team championships again. And it felt different, and it felt new. And even in the middle of the Performance Center era, they gave it all and they kept us tuned in. And I will always have a huge amount of respect for, as quote unquote dangerous and crazy as it seemed at the time, if I wasn't able, the consistency or the normalcy of watching wrestling every week, I don't know what I would have did during the pandemic. So that's why I always have to give it up to the Sasha Bankses and the Romans and the Baileys and the everyone, the Zaylinas and everyone that came every week and performed in front of no crowd.
Not Roman, so to speak. Okay. He was forced to leave because of his leukemia.
But there was like a lot of people that held that shit down. Do you know how hard it was for wrestlers to perform in front of no crowd? That's like 85% of the job.
First of all, Stone Cold Steve Austin was there before they even had the teleprompters up for 316
I can't
days.
watch that. It's just like, what is Stone Cold without a crowd? Like, it was just such an awkward time. But Sasha Banks and Bayley had that shit in their back, and they brought more excitement to the, because they were going to NXT, putting on dream matches with Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox and Io Shirai. Like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about Sasha Banks versus what's her name? Io Shirai. Like, so many different like matches just that happened, and it gives you, and that's the thing with WWE, they give you this hope. They show you that they have the potential to do these things. They have the potential to give you bangers, to show interest and investment in the storylines, and then wah.
Right.
It just is like it never happens again.
Right. So I want to get into some of the tag teams that they definitely could have went and used for this. Yeah. Like I said earlier, Riot Squad.
Oh yeah, they should have been one of the first championships.
Yes,
champions.
Like Liv Morgan has yet to win a championship. Sarah Logan has never won one, and neither has Ruby Riott while she was in WWE. And because they were just so polarizing to see, it was like you want them to. I could really see them in a position of Ruby being champion and Sarah and Liv being tag team champions, and that's how it should have been. Even Absolution. When Absolution came up and Paige was back wrestling before Sasha injured her again, it could have been that way too. Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. I mean, Mandy Rose is definitely women's NXT champion now, and she's she has toxic attraction with the other two with the tag teams. I believe they're still tag team champions in NXT. But it's just like y'all dropped the ball so much with these women, and then you paired. At first it was Lana and Naomi.
That had potential. Maybe not even as champions, but to build a division.
Right. That did have potential. When they came back, and if they was able to stay, the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins versus Sasha and Bayley.
True. There has to be a moment in time that the Bella Twins, even if it's one of those flukes where they win it one night and then they have to give it up, but the Bella Twins deserve to be tag team champions at least once in their fucking life. Like, again, natural tag team. The Riot Squad, natural tag team. Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. That was a tag team that was an established tag team for years. Why wouldn't you capitalize on that? And why did they break up all the tag? Remember that like weird time where they like broke up all the all the tag teams was just like, okay.
And then they put Billie Kay with what did they put Billie Kay with? They broke them up, and then they put Billie Kay with another person, and they formed a tag team, which made no sense.
That was just dumb. Okay, so you broke her up from a tag team that was already over, former champions, actual tag team, and you do that. So I think this is a good time. I don't know if we were still going, but like the makeshift tag team. So, because like who won the championships after the Sasha Banks and Bayley was Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Was again a random pairing. What were your thoughts?
But sometimes random pairings work.
They do.
Because look at Cesaro and Sheamus. Mick Foley had them together, and they couldn't stand each other. And then all of a sudden, it was like they are the bar. You know, like it worked. Yeah. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler.
RK Bro.
I love RK Bro. I really love RK Bro. I'm sorry if you hear that. They doing firecrackers out here. I don't.
I totally agree. And sometimes it can work, but that's if you put the time and energy into it. WWE invests in RK Bro. You can't in the women's division, they throw two people together and it just,
They don't invest.
I did like Sasha Banks and Nia Jax. It did grow me. It felt random.
Sasha Banks and Nia
I'm
Jax.
sorry, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler.
I'm gonna say, when did that happen? Where was I?
My bad. But like that, it grew me. They actually ended up being going really well together. I say all the time, I love that Shayna Baszler was able to show her personality because she's funny. She has great comedic timing, and so does Nia Jax. So it ended up working out. But that was like luck. You know what I mean? Like that was just, yeah, it worked. But I still think it could have been more. Like I still think it could have been more. How did you feel about Natalia and Tamina? Because that was something I remember. I don't know if you remember when we had an episode like in the very beginning. I don't remember what it was about, and we were saying, I think you were like, Natalia and Tamina, like how come they never did like a family dynasty type feud, or and if they did do it, how come like they haven't like capitalized on it, And I always wanted that because I thought it could be dope, and we always think that they could be doing more with Tamina. I never thought of them joining forces, and then I liked it.
I think they were the original first bloodline, to be honest.
Mm.
The Hart Foundation with the Samoan dynasty coming up together. That's the ultimate bloodline, you know? And I'm just like, it sucks because the fact that WWE does not have women writers in those creative seats. You know how many times I could have looked at something or I watched something, and me and you talk about it all the time, and I just come up with these creative ass ideas to be on some, oh, okay, we can put this to here because this makes more sense than, not to me. And it's because Tamina and what Tamina was with Natty, she won her first championship.
Yeah, it was such a great moment.
Right. And everybody, and y'all know how I feel about Natty, but it worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
it
It
worked.
worked. Like when Tamina was with AJ playing bodyguard with AJ Lee, it it wasn't, don't peg her as a China and
Right.
being bodyguard to the smaller
Right.
person.
And
We know
another
that
person, or Tamina, where you guys have her being so serious, which I get it, the intimidating, like, okay, Tamina, mean Tamina, but she's funny too, and she
yeah.
has a lot of personality. And speaking to your point about Naomi, she's been in the company for years.
He debuted with the Usos.
Like, and she has never been given the opportunity. So, but now she has with Natalia and as champions, and I liked it. But again, this is one of those reigns where nothing was done. They didn't have memorable feuds. Like, and the only feud that I was actually getting into with them was against the Sexy Muscle Girls with Mandy Rose and
Sonya Deville.
And
Dana
Brooke. And they teased it. It actually kind of worked, because they were very similar. I thought it was a really dope thing, very marketable. And then next thing you know, Mandy Rose is in NXT, and now Dana Brooke, shout out to her, she's 24/7 champion. She's kind of holding it down. Good for you, girl. But then it was like, okay, so what the fuck? So that's another thing that they always go wrong with. You don't invest enough in the good stuff, like, but then you give us the bullshit. Like, I don't understand. Then it gets even more random from this point on, because after that, Nikki, A.S.H, and Rhea Ripley are now tag team champions.
I feel like they was trying to do that with, like, I feel like they tried to mirror RK Bro with that. Ray is Randy, Nikki is Riddle. It could have worked, but it didn't work. Now you got Nikki ASH with Dewdrop. But I'm just like, why y'all trying to be so demanding? And why y'all trying to make one be like a leader and the other one like a follower or a lackey? We all know Nikki ASH's potential. Right. Get her out that fucking superhero suit. Let her do.
It's time to let it go.
It's time to let it go. Let's call Elsa so we can let it go. Let her go back. Not even go back. Let her do a whole character shift. I feel like if she's with Dewdrop, and because Dewdrop is a heel, she's definitely gonna, drop the suit and the cape and stuff for something different, something new that we want to see. Because I'm not feeling, and I've never felt this superhero gimmick.
I was indifferent to it. I felt like making her champion. I mean, that's another story. But I wasn't all the way sold on it. I did appreciate that it was her idea. So from that standpoint, I did want to root for it. But it didn't click. Her turning heel on Rhea Ripley, and again with the whole like just not investing in things, is that could have been dope because Rhea Ripley needed something at the time. Because I felt like, ever since she lost to Charlotte at the pandemic WrestleMania, I was just like, what the fuck? So I did like that they were being included in things, and Nikki A.S.H. I was like, okay, like you said, this could be something because Rhea Ripley's clearly someone that they want to make a star that has something. And Nikki A.S.H., like you said, show her potential. They always act like she's like, because of her size, they act like the narrative of her character is like she has to overcome and,
they try to do like.
And it's like, do y'all forget she was a former, like, do y'all forget all she did in NXT and like her background? Like, why does she have to be painted as that? So it's like, then she has the superhero gimmick thing, and then her and Rhea Ripley, and it didn't work. And they were champions for like 2 months. They did nothing with them. Like it led to like this lackluster heel turn with Nikki A.S.H. and they had a couple like matches, and then that was that. Like it didn't hit for me. And that's when I feel like people, because before that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Krista, again, but like,
no, go ahead.
Always disrespect the women's tag team championships and say that they're meaningless, that they're useless. And I will always stick up for it because it's like, one, they're new championships. So I was just like, always hopeful, like the next reign will be cool. And then you have that one good reign and you think it's all going to be like that. And it's just not, and it fucking sucks. And then you're like, okay, like what now? You know what I mean? Like, I'm defending these championships, but it's like, you are proving that they are meaningless right now. Like, after Nikki A.S.H. and Rhea Ripley, you had Zelina and Carmella. That could have been something because you have two of, like, the most charismatic heels on the mic that could easily turn this into something. You got Queen Zelina, who has a Queen Zelina gimmick now. Like, and they barely did anything with that, too.
Mm-hmm. It just makes no sense. They went wrong with so many of these tag team teams. And I just don't feel like it's going to become worse before it gets better. Unless WWE literally takes a look and listen to what we have to say about the women's tag team division and how it can actually become marketable. It's not going to go anywhere. Now we have Raquel Gonzalez teamed up with Ronda Rousey. When she went against, I guess it was Shayna Baszler and Natty, I think. I'm not sure. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm just like, okay, are we really going to have these two randomly tag team with each other? It's just like, people will be like, oh, I can see it. And everybody's just like, what? Huh? Like, it makes no sense at all.
None at all.
No sense at all. I really hope and wish that they would do better. And they won't have to start accepting pitches because at this point it don't make no sense. If I have to sit here and write a pitch a day and send it out to WWE until I get some type of call or something, I will.
And it all comes down to like creative and the lack of attention and interest that the writers and WWE brass put into the division. Right. And these are complaints that we've had about the women's division for years, and especially the tag team division. And it comes down to now the titles are vacated. And the current champion, Sasha Banks, I believe she might be the first 3-time. That might be Alexa, but I think she's the first 3-time tag team champion, the inaugural champion. She's Sasha fucking Banks. Then you got the Glow Naomi, who has been a star for years. It's just WWE that just has not capitalized. But she's been a star. She's had this momentum since her Royal Rumble debut in 2020. Finally, they're champion. Sasha finally wins at WrestleMania. This beautiful moment. You have all the Black women in the company dominating the championship scene. And it was a part of me that felt like that was too good to be true.
It was too good to be true because now we only have one Black woman, which is Bianca.
It's like they never want to fucking see Black women, especially, but Black people win, it seems like. And we did a stream, shout out to Blue Mix Tag. We did a stream about that, so I don't want to go too much into the walkout because you should check that out.
And also did a sound off with Bakey, so also check it out.
I would definitely check out the Patreon as well because you kind of can see a lot of the different sides of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's layered. But anyway, about the tag team championships, like it all comes, like this was the catalyst of like everything that we complain about, all the complaints that we have, or everything. Naomi, and that's why I feel like we should be applauding Sasha Banks and Naomi, because they are making complaints for their fans. They're making complaints that we have. They're making complaints for the future of the tag team and the women's division. You know, it's not an ego thing. It wasn't like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? No, it's like, okay, like make this make sense. What did your booking do? Another thing that they go wrong with really quickly is mixing the tag team championships with the world championships.
That makes no sense.
And that was really what it was. It was Naomi and Sasha Banks. And y'all know, if y'all listen to our show, y'all know I fucking hate it. And I was not a fan of even the fucking golden era. After a while, I was like, okay, give those belts to someone else. Spread the love, spread the opportunity, spread the show time, the stage time, or whatever. Why? What is the point of having tag team champions in the world title picture? Like, it just takes away from so much opportunity on so many different levels.
It does.
I hate it. I really hate it. So what do you think the legacy in the future is now? You think they should just eliminate them? Do you think there's even hope? Do you even care anymore?
No, I care, because I don't like how Naomi and Sasha looked at to be the bad guys in this situation when they weren't given an opportunity to properly defend what they so waited and longed for. Granted, you know, and it was like a short-lived reign.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania was when March, April.
Beginning of April.
And we're now in May, about to be in June. Was that a month and a half?
Yep.
It's not
and
fair.
They're vacated right now.
And they're vacated.
And they're suspended indefinitely at this moment. So I don't know. I don't like to think about the situation too much, because it's terrifying to me, because these are like two of my favorite people in the entire like wrestling world. So the fact that this is happening is like heartbreaking. But I used to be so gung-ho on like, no, like there's hope, there's potential, keep the belts, we need them. I was even thinking of like a female version of the Intercontinental Championship or something. But now I'm kind of on a thing where if y'all gonna keep doing bullshit, then, and if I'm saying that, if I lose hope in a situation, I'm probably for the most part in these situations, the most optimistic, hopeful person, because at the end of the day, I'm a fan. If I'm saying discontinue the belts, then it's like y'all have really like fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm over it.
Facts. Me too.
I'm over it.
Hopefully we can see where it comes to in the future. Right now,
we'll see.
It's just a sucky situation.
It really is.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Those Wrestling Girls. Yeah. We hope that you enjoyed your Memorial Day weekend. We hope that this week is full of nothing but love, success, joy, accomplished affirmations, filled with a lot of abundance in your lives. On that note, make sure you follow both of us on all our social media platforms. Those Wrestling Girls everywhere. MS_Krista B_ and unapologetically eclectic everywhere. Queen PR is Queen 3_ PR everywhere.
And so make sure we see you at some shows this summer.
Absolutely, be outside and we can pee outside.
Oh, Ciendo came up with this, like we either ringside or outside. And I was like, I like that because it's true.
She definitely said that. She said we outside ringside. Yep. That's a fact. That's a fact. Well, on that note, it's your girl, Krista B.
And Queen PR.
And we are out of here. Bye.
Queen PR, Krista B. Those Wrestling Girls, TWG. Black excellence, making it effortless. Podcast bringing up women and wrestling. Let's go.